This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Fantasy Alarm NBA preview show here for Thursday's two-game NBA main slate. We got the Sixers and Bucks. We got the Lakers and Suns here on the two-game main slate. James, my friend, a couple days into the NBA season, we saw some pretty impressive performances. Cam Thomas coming off the bench for the Nets on Wednesday, going for like 36 actual points. Man, it just continues to be an absolute bucket. We saw some disappointing performances. Big chalk play of the day was Evan Mobley. Failed to come through for many fantasy managers. He was 70% rostered in contests that I was playing in. We saw Jaren Jackson continue his home dominance on the block stats, 5 blocks. Desmond Bane went off for 50. Xavier Tillman went off for like 50. So a lot of big performances, a lot of so-so performances here. We're currently recording while we're watching Luka Doncic battle Victor Wembanyama on the 9:30 game here, or 10:30 game, whatever it is.
9:30. 9:30. You're right.
On the Wednesday slate. So we got that going on, but we're ready to break down this Thursday slate of action, my friend.
Yeah, a little two-gamer. Back to the TNT games. Back to, they're not wasting any time getting some big matchups on the marquee, right? We have Suns
throwing LeBron in our face as much as possible.
Yeah, and Phoenix, Kevin Durant as much as possible. Now we're getting the new look Bucks and the James Harden-less fighting 76ers. So definitely some interesting matchups. This is what it could have been on Thursday night in opener. Eastern Conference matchup, Western Conference matchup, right? And we didn't get that, but I digress. You digress. We're on to Thursday. I just opened up the Vegas totals here, John. 224 in Phoenix, LA. Lakers are actually 6-point favorites, and that's because the Devin Booker, Bradley Beal news both are expected to be out for this game, both listed doubtful. And then Philly, Milwaukee, 225, also a 6-point spread in favor of Milwaukee. So definitely interesting. Lakers looked okay in their first game, but Denver just is that team. So definitely an interesting two-game slate to kick off Thursday.
Yeah, listen, Lakers had their moments. Austin Reeves looked really great. LeBron looked good at times. Anthony Davis didn't score in the second half. That's one of the biggest
Taurean Prince.
Yeah, Taurean Prince got off to a ridiculous start on that game as well. Had AD had any offense going in the second half of that game, maybe they would have been able to be a bit more competitive.
Sure.
Just wasn't able to come through. So a little bit of a redemption spot for them. And as you mentioned, Phoenix now going to be without 2 of their big players. No Bradley Beal now for the first 2 games. Devin Booker looked really good against Golden State, but obviously got to take him out now and rest the foot. It's a nationally televised game though, James. So they're going to get. I guess this is a legitimate injury, right? This isn't a rest situation, so team isn't going to get any sort of penalty. But they do have those new resting rules in place here to sort of protect the integrity, I guess, of the game. But that means you're going to have Kevin Durant playing with a bunch of, for lack of better terms, scrubs here in this matchup against the Lakers. So something to watch. Before we jump into our DraftKings DFS slate preview here, we want to give a shout out to our friends over at RT Sports. If you go to rtsports.com/alarm, use promo code alarm23, new users get a 100% deposit match up to $200 with their first deposit. James, let's take a look at a couple of DFS pick-em plays for the Thursday slate. They got just the Philly Milwaukee props available to us right now. So we got a couple on the board that we do like here. Chris Middleton, less than 26 fantasy points. He's expected to be limited in this game here, so we're not going to get a full run for Middleton. But we're also dealing with now Damian Lillard being there, a high-volume offensive player, and, of course, Giannis, a high-volume player in his own right. Could see Middleton take a little bit of a step back in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the limitation. I know they came out and said that he's going to play a little bit more than he did in his final preseason, which was the only preseason game he played. He played 12 minutes. But what is a little more from 12 minutes, right? Like, is that 16 minutes? Is
Right.
that 18 minutes? Is that 24 minutes? I mean, that's a very wide range. And the uncertainty with the knee in general has definitely left a lot of people a little like weary with Chris Middleton. And as he gets older and as like we've seen the regular season not matter as much than it, as the postseason, how fast do they ramp up a guy who's kind of been injured over the
Right.
last couple of years? So I definitely like less than 26 fantasy points here because we just are uncertain what the jump from 12 minutes to he hasn't played a lot of basketball this off season. So I do like less here, and we'll pair that up with Tyrese Maxey, 22 and a half points here. Last year with the 13 games that James Harden did not play and Tyrese Maxey did, John. Tyrese Maxey, 24.8 points per game. He hit this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the 13 games. And
we talked a lot about Milwaukee's now backcourt defense without Drew Holiday there, replacing him with a much worse defender in Damian Lillard, leagues below defensive ability here. Maxey really should have his way, I think, in this spot offensively when it comes to his scoring prowess here, especially, again, as you mentioned, no James Harden. So we're liking more than 22 and a half points for Tyrese Maxey, less than 26 fantasy points for Chris Middleton here on this 2-game Thursday slate. So remember, go lock that in and use that promo code ALARM23 when you go to rtsports.com/alarm. Get that 100% deposit match with your first deposit. James, now taking a look over for the DraftKings main slate here. Again, 2 games on the board that we're going to be taking a look at for this one here. As soon as my computer will stop freezing. There we go.
Close some tabs, why don't you, John? Close some tabs.
We got it up for the friends and family there to see what we got going on. 2 games.
Just 2.
We're missing 2 of the 4 top price players, 2 of the top 5 price players on the slate. So how do you feel about approaching this? Do you want to go game by game or do you want to go position by position?
Let's do how we broke down the 2-game on Thursday. Let's go game by game, and then we'll stick to our bread and butter on the bigger slates with the position by position. Sounds great.
All right, 2-game slate starting off Philly, Milwaukee. Point guard position here again. No James Harden. Dame is at $9,000. Now we've talked a lot about this price tag going into tonight here. Most other circumstances in years past, I wouldn't be able to hit the button quick enough to put Dame Lillard in my lineup at $9,000. Are you worried at all with any sort of chemistry issues going on with Giannis? Are you worried about D'Anthony Melton just, being all over his hip this entire game? Are you willing to spend the $9,000 on a 2-game slate on Dame Lillard?
Yeah, I'm willing to get to 9K on Dame. I think, we're going to work whether or not there's chemistry issues. We're going to watch it happen in real time, right? Lillard is one of the league's best players, and so is Giannis. So I think even during stretches where it doesn't look or things look clunky, Damian Lillard can bail them out because he's so skilled offensively. So I'm okay getting to Lillard. The Maxey or the Melton matchup doesn't really worry me. I definitely do just like Tyrese Maxey's price a little bit more. You can play them both if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's perfectly fine. I think one game is not better than the other in this scenario. They're both basically the same over/under, same outlook in terms of spread. So I can definitely get to Lillard, but I mean Tyrese Maxey without James Harden is going to be one of the chalkiest plays. We saw it in preseason. He was chucking. We saw it all last year. He chucks just a great spot.
Great spot for him. You have D'Anthony Melton here at $5,300. Again, a guy that we're going to certainly get some exposure to.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else though at guard spot here? Anybody you want to play? Is Campaign going to play here?
Yeah, he'll be the backup point guard.
Okay.
So there's always that chance that he comes in. We saw Ray Jackson come in and play 24 minutes right, for Denver on
Yep.
opening night, and he had a really good game off the bench. So I won't say that it's impossible to see Campaign come off the bench, and we saw it. He played alongside Chris Paul at times in Phoenix and stuff. So maybe I would rather just find the $400 to get to D'Anthony Melton, truthfully, and little to no interest in Patrick Beverley at 4,500 either. So
yeah, I'm with you there. Shooting guard spot, again, a lot of repeat plays here due with the dual position eligibility, but we have Chris Middleton, but we just talked about he's going to be limited. I don't really have any interest in $6,500. Kelly Oubre is now on Philly at 57, and Michael Beasley at 5K, likely going to be a guy that gets a step up in production here.
Yeah, so I definitely just tripped you up because before we went on the air, I definitely said
Malik Beasley, sorry.
I definitely am the reason that happened. I said Michael Beasley, and shout out to the Kansas State great Michael Beasley. Once checked in with his warm-ups on, and then couldn't check in the game because they wouldn't let him in the game. But Malik Beasley is the one here, and so for that, I am sorry, my friend. But yeah, look, he shot poorly in the preseason, but he is on this team to space the floor. That is what
that is actually like the story of his career. It's like, Malik Beasley shot poorly tonight, and then like 2 nights later, or last year, he had that ridiculous run of not missing. So you take the good with the bad here. Any Patty Connaughton interest?
Mild, good position eligibility. I think where the Connaughton ownership will be like. What will happen for him is that he's competing with all the Phoenix value, right? Like he's the pivot off that Phoenix value. That's all the same price as him, same position eligibility. He's just going to get bumped 98% of the time. But we saw it, a couple slates ago, like Moses Moody, low ownership,
came off the bench, did not miss.
And Connaughton is, although he should probably be playing baseball because he threw 99 miles an hour. For Notre Dame, I believe. He chose to play basketball, and he's a pretty good shooter. He can space the floor, so we'll see. If you want to pivot off Phoenix, LA, that Phoenix value at that position, be my guess, but I probably won't be.
Yeah, when we were talking about bidding lineups before the show here, I really didn't have a lot of exposure to the Milwaukee side of this game. I was largely going in on Philly here. Small forward, again, not a position that I looked to get to on a small slate. Like Tobias Harris at $6,600, it's fine, but again, it's not really the greatest matchup for him here going up against that front court. So, him again, Kelly Oubre has that multi-position eligibility here. Jay Crowder in Milwaukee. Are you targeting anybody in this game at small forward, or do you think that when we hit Phoenix, LA, that's likely where we're filling out the lineup?
I mean, Toby is safe, right? He's safe. Like he's gonna. We also have to remember
on a 2-game slate, he's safer, sure.
Here's the one thing I'll say about Philly. Who is the Philly head coach, John? Nick Nurse.
Plays a lot of minutes.
He plays guys a lot of minutes, right? Like a lot. And we saw it in the preseason. Tobias Harris played 29 minutes in his final tune-up game. You don't see a lot of players of Harris's tenure playing 30 minutes in the preseason. So it just goes to show you he does not care if it's the preseason or not. He's going to play guys. So I think Harris is safe. Not getting to Middleton, so be it. If I get burned by Chris Middleton, who plays 18 minutes and he goes 7 of 8 for whatever. Oubre is whatever. He had a pretty good preseason as well. He's clearly has a role while Harden's not there.
Yeah, we like Oubre at times because he brings some defense. He's not afraid to shoot from the outside, and if he can kind of stay out of foul trouble, he can be a productive player. I think he has a higher ceiling than Tobias Harris in general as a player, but I don't know if the minutes will allow him to get there.
I pretty much agree. The only thing that would cap that is the minutes, because if he's not playing 35 minutes like Tobias is, he's probably not going to. But anything's possible. We just saw Cam Thomas scored 36 in 25 minutes.
I mean, you guys can just get on the floor and not miss. Power forward here, we have Giannis. I mean, averaged 60 fantasy points in 4 games against Philly last year. You know, 10-2 is a cheap price tag for him. Now, I imagine we have a 10-2 price tag because it's just a 2-game slate. On a larger slate, he'd probably be 11 plus, but you can certainly take advantage of that if you want. Likewise, play Bobby Portis if you want to. Comes off the bench, fantasy point per minute monster, totally in on that situation. Where are you on like Reed or Tucker or anybody like that? Any interest in these other Philly guys?
Not Tucker. I don't ever play
Yeah, I
PJ
know. I don't blame
Tucker.
you. He's there.
I would. Paul Reed is going to be a guy that plays a bunch. So if you want to play Paul Reed, by all means, I think he's perfectly fine as like a punt option. Because he can play a little bit. He's gonna back up the 5, but he also can play the 4. So if you want to play Paul Reed,
he's sort of their Portis-ish.
Yeah, he's sort of their Portis. That's a good comparison.
Center spot. You have JoJo. Yeah, that's where I was locking in, like Embiid here on this slate. Brook Lopez is at 6K. So you're really choosing between two centers if you're not going to plug Giannis or Portis in here.
Yes. I got
nothing more. We got nothing.
I mean, obviously, JoJo has as high of a ceiling as anyone else, and I think Brolo, showed last year that he's still kind of really good, right? Maybe his best year career last year, like with all the blocks and stuff. So
yeah, he had some good run there when Giannis was on the lineup, 100%. Moving on over to Phoenix, LA, a little bit more interesting here because of the players that are out. Opens up a lot more players to throw in your lineup. At the point guard spot here again, no Booker, no Beal. D'Angelo Russell.
We thought that the other day, and then
we're pretty sure no Booker.
I know.
No
well, I know. I'm just saying. I'm ready.
This is the preview. We give our takes, and then we'll come back live and we'll update it as we need to. But we got Booker, Beal expected not to play. D'Angelo Russell's 55. Gabe Vincent, as you mentioned, played off the bench for LA at 37. Then Jordan Goodwin, who was in their rotation and could very well find himself in the starting lineup now if Booker sits out here at $3,200.
Yeah, I mean, I think Goodwin, would you say if they both sit, which Phoenix value plays the most? Is owned the most? It's probably Jordan Goodwin, right? He probably is the highest owned of
because he's 3,200. Probably.
Yeah. And then that means like with these guys, like Kevin Durant's going to be astronomically owned because he's playing by himself, or at least not with the big three. And that means you can also get a Giannis or a Embiid if you want. Jordan Goodwin played 14 minutes in the season opener with Devin Booker, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal. So like, not the worst outing, and it's a 2-game slate again. He's going to get a bigger boost with the point Booker out. So, yeah, I'm perfectly fine getting to Russell. He shot really poorly in the opener. Still almost got to 30 fantasy points. Gabe Vincent, he played like he had a decent game off the bench. What was the minutes for Gabe Vincent? Because they don't have it updated on DraftKings. He played 22 minutes. 6-2, 1-1, mild success. The Lakers really just went with the starters, and 4 guys off the bench played 15 minutes. Vincent's okay, but I think all roads lead to get to Goodwin here if and when Booker and Beal are ruled out.
Yep. At shooting guard, again, Austin Reeves had himself a pretty nice opening night, to say the least. Filled up the stat sheet for everybody. At $5,600 on a slate where, again, I felt like small forward was kind of like, and shooting guard was fine. He has that dual positional eligibility. He's going to be among the highest roster players, I think, on the slate because, the fact that Middleton is limited and you're going with the rest sort of the non-starters, like Reeves is a guy you're going to be plugging into one of these 2 spots. Yeah.
I would say he's maybe the highest on Laker. I don't know, maybe the highest on Laker, just, recent news with LeBron being limited in some capacity to start. Maybe people are scared to go to Davis after that clunker he put up.
Dominated the first half, 0 points in the second.
0 points in the second half. And it's like, can Taurean Prince repeat himself? So, yeah, I think Reeves pretty much proved he's pretty matchup proof. He's good everywhere. So, yeah, 5,600 is an excellent price for him.
Yep. And then after that, Eric Gordon didn't start, but could start now if Devin Booker is out, right? One of the guys that could find themselves moving into that lineup. You have Grayson Allen, who did not play well at all the other day, but again, take another shooter off the floor, ball spreads around a little bit more. Grayson Allen could be a guy that finds himself in a better situation. So two guys here that at some value prices at 4,400 and 4,200 for Phoenix that will more than likely see some increases in playing time here.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon, even if he doesn't start, he played 32 minutes and took 16 shots off the bench, right? Like, that was with Devin Booker. If Devin Booker's out and they do start Goodwin, I mean, Eric Gordon is still going to come off the bench and he's still going to take 100 shots. So, yeah, I could definitely get behind Eric Gordon. I think he's going to be really popular. He was kind of on the lower end of the ownership scale last game, which felt like leverage. And, if he made some shots, it would have been 4 for 16. And Grayson Allen is that is a definite tournament play because no one's going to go to him. He went 0 from the floor. He only played 21 minutes and but we've seen Grayson Allen really space the floor for Milwaukee in the past, and he was really good for them at times. He comes in, and what if he's that 0 for 6 now is like 4 for 8 from 3, and now he has 12 points to go along with 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and maybe a steal. I'm definitely willing to go back to the Grayson Allen in GPPs.
Yep. Small forward here. You have LeBron James at 87, but again, as we mentioned, they're going to be now a minutes cap for LBJ to start the year. On a slate like this, I mean, he's certainly capable of going off, and in other competition he'll be up against lesser than we would expect, right? So, are you okay paying for 8,700 LeBron, or do you go down to like a couple of guys we've mentioned, or Josh Okogie's at 47, Taurean Prince is at $4,300 here? Anyone other than LBJ for you?
Yeah, I think LeBron is maybe the least likely rostered player for me above 8K. I think I would probably get to everyone above 8K before LeBron.
Sure.
Everyone over 8K before him. And that's per price that's like accurate, but still, especially if there's going to be a limit. 87 just feels a little too expensive when Durant's only 200 more and even Giannis and Embiid are not going to be the prices that they are, like you mentioned. So
yeah,
I'm going to just go to the Phoenix guys or Reeves. And you mentioned Taurean Prince, I guess. If I don't think we're going to see another scenario where he scores more than everyone else.
Sure. Cam Reddish now questionable for the slate too. Probable, I guess, with a sore foot. So
yeah, and Cam Reddish, for what it's worth, played over Max Christie, was a little bit of a surprise. So if you want to take a stab on Reddish, you can as well.
Power forward position here. Again, KD is at 89. As you mentioned, why pay 87 for LeBron when a fully healthy Booker-less, Beal-less KD is at $8,900. So, without really going too much into it, just play Kevin Durant.
Yeah, just play Kevin Durant and move on. And moving on, I mean, it was interesting to see the Suns' rotation, John. Yuta Watanabe, 18 minutes off the bench, 8-4 and a block, hit 2 threes. If that's a direction they're going to go, I think Yuta could be kind of a
could see him play the 3 tomorrow. I mean,
yep, could be a little sneaky punt at 3,300. So other than Durant and Prince, as we mentioned, can definitely get there. What do you make? Would you give Hachimura another chance? 15 minutes. I don't know if that had to do with just the 3 for 10 or if that's just we're just going to see fluctuation in his minutes this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I'd rather take a shot on Taurean Prince, who's starting again.
I agree.
And go there.
Agreed.
And then center again, Anthony Davis is at 88. Yusuf Nurkic is at $6,100. The two clear-cut centers here. They initially put Jackson Hayes on the floor, and then he never saw the floor again. Christian Wood, Drew Eubanks backing up the center spots, but it's AD, it's Yusuf Nurkic. Nurkic coming off of a double-double at $6,100. If you weren't playing JoJo and if you wanted to play Giannis at a forward spot, Nurkic certainly fits a lot of builds here.
Yeah, Nurkic definitely fits a lot of builds. I actually don't hate going to AD because I think he's going to obviously present a lot of issues for Nurkic, like athletically. So I'm okay going back to Davis, but Nurkic looks so good in the debut. He didn't look great in the second half. He had the double-double at half already. So, yeah, definitely get the Nurkic. What was the Eubanks line? I feel like they played like pretty similar. Nurkic played 28 minutes. Eubanks played 19. Eubanks had 4, 7, 2 assists and 3
he's a
blocks.
guy that comes on the floor and is super active. So
10
it's kind of he's like Hartensteiny. You know,
yeah, he has a little
gets on the floor
Hartensteiny.
and just like fills it up.
21 fantasy points in 19 minutes, and I think he was 4,700 in that slate. Now he's 39. I could see a world where I get to Eubanks.
Sure. If you're making a couple of lineups here on a 2-game slate, you got to spread that rostership around here on the smaller player pools. All right, James, let's end the show here like we do every time with a lineup being built. We liked Maxey, 75.
Yep.
What was our plug-and-play value here?
Phoenix, Eric Gordon, Okogie.
Yeah, Kogi was a good one. We liked Reeves at small forward.
Goodwin, 32.
Goodwin at guard. That works. Goodwin.
Durant, power forward.
Durant at power forward. Are we going Embiid or Giannis?
I mean, there's no Harden. Like, I'm okay if we wanted to get to Embiid. It's tough. It's a tough.
I feel like we're not going to play any Milwaukee if we don't play Giannis. I mean, but we don't necessarily need to play Milwaukee.
No, if you're playing Milwaukee, at this point you're probably playing Giannis or you're playing Dame, because the rest of the rotation is kind of, or you're playing like you're taking a shot on like Bobby Portis or something like that. But yeah, we could play Embiid. I mean, no Harden. He fully ramped up in that final game before the in the preseason. He played 33 minutes. Again, Nick Nurse special. He's gonna play like 36 minutes this year.
We have 4 Phoenix, 2 Philly, and a Laker right now at $5,400 for a util.
And that's Bobby Poe if you want it.
Bobby Poe,
you just got to flip.
Or D'Anthony Melton if you had to pick one.
Oh, I mean, Melton, if he's going to start, would probably be the answer for me. Just we got to swap him into like the guard spot for Goodwin.
Sure, for the rostership, the start times.
Yeah, for the start times, because again, like the NBA going to NBA, and like Devin Booker's going to play, right? So be on our toes.
Well, we wouldn't really have a pivot if that ended up being the case anyway. So
well, yeah, we'd have. Well, we could go to Utah.
We could go to Utah if that happened. I guess
Utah, but also 6 guys in the late game. Like we would just pivot, probably.
We can move some money around. So example lineup here for 2-game slate. Again, we'll be back live at 5:00 Eastern. Sean Mitchell has your 2-game write-up playbook for this Thursday slate. Tyrese Maxey, Eric Gordon, Austin Reeves, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, D'Anthony Melton, Josh Okogie, Jordan Goodwin. Everybody, again, find us on Twitter. Get us in the Discord. And we will see you all at 5:00. Talk to you then.